Hi, this is Stan Becker. It's Sunday, August 21st, 2022. I'm reporting from Hunter Biden Open Border Venice. I'm going to play you something from 3 full years ago when I had one of several discussions with Dr. Drew Pinsky and Leanne Tweeden on KABC AM 790 Talk Radio, amongst appearances with several other folks. And I think it's more than fair to ask, you know. In fact, it would be irresponsible not to ask. Where was Soledad Ursua and Traci Park 3 years ago? Horizon Health Action Coalition is all about accountability. Accountability. This 120-unit tax-exempt real estate investment equity boondoggle on Horizon Apartments LLC, the most serially violent single address in Venice. It's a real eye-opener about the homeless industrial complex, massive Section 8 fraud, and Ruderman coercion chart, systemic technology of abuse that actually creates cash cow homelessness and real victims, and it's not being looked at. And if not for a human rights aspect, which Venice Chamber of Commerce does not care about, Venice Resistance does not care about. They don't care about the rape murder culture in artificially hypergentrified Silicon Needle Beach. They just care that it doesn't touch them personally. But it has. Anyway, this is from 3 years ago.
Wow. Dan Becker, I definitely want to see. Boy, does he know his stuff.
Now that's Katy Grimes from California Globe in Sacramento. Hope this is loud enough.
I want to name names and LLCs and
again, I'm sure there's something to what he's saying. I just need a little more detail.
It seems like he's connected a lot of dots that we don't even know about.
You've been just sort of rolling down this hill too in terms of the infrastructure that he was talking about as it pertains to real estate.
Correct. Right.
Yeah, so
the tax exempt status and all of that kind of corruption. Yeah, I think he's probably got some heavy duty, real localized information, you know, in Los Angeles. But most of what I'm talking about is kind of the statewide racket.
Yes.
And my article today really addresses that. So here we've got the governor demanding the federal government provide more federal funds, and that's what he says is supposedly going to fix our homeless epidemic. But there's so much evidence.
3 years ago, accountability. Accountability. Yo, Venice, the Argonaut. This was hugely promoted. This Horizon Apartments LLC. Easy to unpack. Just 20 units. Let's look at each and every lease partner, service provider, case manager. Let's look at this quid pro quo death harvest. Let's look at how many dozens have been through this. Actually 19 unit, because there's one unit that's a residential manager, and that's been a sexual assault, sex trafficking, Drughouse, prostitution, and other. And this is unimpeachably documented. And if you think this is just attrition and what happens in an apartment building, you're dead wrong. Nothing else can happen. Nothing else can happen. This is a quid pro quo death harvest, and everybody's in for a pocket full of cash, including Chief Moore's dirty Roger Rape Civic Division. Okay, that's 3 years ago. Where was Traci Park? Where was Nico Ruderman? Where was anybody? We've been making these reports since 2017, 5 years ago. Okay, Brad Neal's son, there's been news of an arrest. Today, the bid architect, along with Crack House Jack Hoffman's son and his girlfriend, was murdered. They created this strategized meth camp. Who was his sponsor? Recovery guru, predator, narcissist, Meth Mike Bonin. Crack House Jack Hoffman, who brokered the Horizon Apartments LLC fraud, 20 seconds away from this guy's armed dilettante lair, the most serially violent single address in Venice year after year after year after year after year. This multimillionaire had nothing to do with it, had no sense of control, couldn't report anything. No, he made hundreds of thousands of dollars, and he pimped out Market Street. He's the architect of adversity to the Venice community. With that Snapchat, everybody came here to protest for one day and get their sexy photo ops, and then bailed. That was a Pacific Palisades dirty deal. Meth Mike, Bonin, Evans family. That Snapchat thing. Evan gives Felicia Adams Kellum Dirty Roger Mahoney Spikes model, $400,000 a year Spikes model actress who went to school, Venice High School. This multimillionaire from a luxury elite suburb went to Venice High School with Gary Stewart. His public suicide during my retaliatory eviction after being injured, after being serially injured by Drughouse Becky Dennison targeted violence. Let's unpack that 20-unit Horizon Apartments LLC. How much was paid out to Aquila Fleming's abuser under Bridget Bell, who's now gone? Just like Maxwell Harris, asset manager, Steve Clare's criminal asset manager, not gone. We'll tell you the story of that. Bridget Bell, administrator, huge administrator, gone. Stacy Burmaster, gone. Okay, a pedophile protection racket or any criminal protection racket has to have layers of stooges, layers of Pete White, Drughouse Becky Dennison, Snow White, Splain, BLM, LA, elite, vicious, hard left stooges, cowards, living in luxury, ghettoizing, crippling, killing the very minorities that they exploit in all their advertisements, especially Abby Sher, Liberty Hill Foundation dilettante. Honoring Suicide Cluster Steve Clare's Venice Community Housing Corporation after those sexual assaults, after the Steve Clare Suicide Cluster commenced. It's a little hard for Gary Stewart to swallow that, being a board member of Liberty Hill Foundation, a dear friend of 36 years, the same exact politics for decades. And he found out how corrupt and vicious, murderous and brutal these Shane Goldsmith, Abby Sher, Drughouse Becky Dennison, Sylvia A. Roth, Heidi Roberts Rebel, Barbara Milliken, Soledad Ursua especially, these media strumpets playing both ends against the middle. One Linda Luck, Marta Every, vicious doppelganger after another. Epic Times goes, well, let's have this real estate, Orinoco real estate, poverty pimp on Venice Neighborhood Council with Jamie Page, community officer, completely ignoring this devastation. I know you don't care about that, but you should care about the massive hundreds of millions into billions. And you should care about the rape murder culture on the street because it's reached you, thanks to Vicky Halliday and other fight back Venice elite idiots, Mark Ryevek idiots playing both ends against the middle, screwing up her whole neighborhood. That bridge house, that's a Vicky Halliday, Venice Neighborhood Council bridge house. We could have stopped that except for these poverty pimp. And now the canals, you've got Tracy Park, Silicon Beach signs there. Come on, you really want to be that cruel and really want to be that vicious? You want these business investment district expunged felons coming to your canals? How about the urban circle, the urban whatever, these participation trophy poverty pimp jobs? You know, it's not going to go away because poverty pimp, pervert, Meth Mike Bonin is failing upwards. That's always the job of a useful idiot. The Drughouse Becky Dennison, people who fund Tracy Parker still in play. Profitable, violent criminal vagrancy. Brad Neal knew about it. Brad Neal knew about it. Why are they so afraid of accountability of one building? How many hundreds of thousands to tenants in non-disclosure settlements and to former employees because it's such a sewer? Because it's such a sewer of contemptible violence. Why does Becky Dennison run Westside Tenants Union and Venice Catholic Worker? Okay? Because she's a deceiver. Because she's a liar. Because our whole game is distract. That's the activist game, a protagonist and antagonist. At a certain point in the script, things get brutal and vicious, and then they come in to be your saviors. And you're that stupid, Venice. You deserve it. You deserve it. You created it. You created it. Because you've known for 4 or 5 years, because we've told you for 4 or 5 years about Dirty Roger, child rape Mahoney, and these rapes and murders just got more intense. And now they touched you. So you're pretending you want to care about law enforcement all of a sudden. We understand. It's nice. You know, it's not these particular streets that have been plundered. You know, I've been here 42 years. The canals are lovely. They're beautiful. A lot of neighborhoods are. A lot of people are. But, silence is complicity. This is rape murder culture because of you. Not because of Meth Mike, Bonin, and Dirty Roger Mahoney, because you know about that child raper, lease partner service provider, and Soledad, Ursua, and Traci Park knew about it. And they're not telling you why. Follow the money. Now, we're not going to get any press for the dead, the murdered, John in the streets, the lack of outreach, despite all the advertising. You know, I'm going to show you the spots where a woman died over the course of months out right in the open. Like you give a shit, Venice. Venice Family Clinic, Alicia Adams Kellen, Dexter O'Connell, Dirty Roger Mahoney, Courtney Kanagi, vicious demons paraded here, fundraising and photo op exhibitions. Contemptible, contemptuous. Soledad Ursua. Soledad Ursua. Venice Neighborhood Council totally corrupted. Since Linda Lux. Hey Navi. Hi. Hi. You know, you'd be surprised how much love is generated from right here. The little baby, the infant, is not even thinking about crawling out of his stroller. His mom and dad stop every morning because that baby knows me. We interact, and the sparrows get fed, and the crows get fed. You know, I can't balance out the despicable, contemptuous demonology of the situation that still exists. You know, and the street battering, wet work, grimy, smarmy truth of a crack house Jack Hoffman, the Ed Buck, social justice warrior, of the Meth Mike Bonin, people who pretend to have compassion and are the architects of so much profitable doom, as it expands a diseased racist subculture for cheap labor and votes, and kills American citizens. And those, Brad Neal, not the murdered sons of the viciousness you create and the beauty that I created in this town. We can't get a police response. In fact, the Rape Civic. Yeah, the Rape Civic Division. Right by the Bank of America that's been shot up. I'll be back with another report soon. Dying heat stroke temperature in a car of ruination, because shame and blame is part of it. Doesn't matter that I've got 600,000 views, which is like 500,000 more than anybody else in Venice ever. That's